Right, good evening and welcome to Big Phil Live. As I promised last night, I would do a one-off special on a Saturday, and I would talk about whatever people wanted to talk about tonight. Well, Julie, as I promised, the first message I got wanted me to speak about Princess Kate. So I'm going to speak about Princess Kate tonight. I'm not going to give you the whole story in a wanna, but I'm going to set us off tonight, and I'm going to do it over a period of a week. Okay, so let's just quickly get this liked and shared around. I can get it on.
We're live.
Oh,
We're live.
Sorry. You're sorting out her fucking finances. Allow her fucking finances.
Oi, give me that tenner back.
Yeah, juice, don't you?
Yeah.
20 quid
Right,
for juice.
can we just fuck off? Emu.
Emma, you've been rude.
And I'll
Come
put
on.
it in your bank in a minute if it's open. It's not
Jesus.
Sorry about that, folks. A little domestic on a Saturday night.
Oh, ridiculous. What did you take a fiver off her
She took 30 quid off me.
for?
Kids, eh?
Right, let me share the page and let's get this going. Let's get an audience going because we're talking Iranian embassy tea tonight, and I know you're going to love it. Okay, so I've been promising to do it for ages. I'm going to do it. I'm going to break it down into 2 or 3 shows. So I'm going to keep you in suspenders this week and have you coming back for more, because it's going to be a good show tonight. I can tell you. I enjoy talking about this stuff because it's history, isn't it? I want to be like, we love a bit of history, don't we? So yeah, Craigie, can you do me a favour? Can you? Can you make me a cup of 50 cal coffee? Because I need to be racing for this one. Yeah. Can you do it?
I don't know how to.
You can. Get the coffee thing. Tip the coffee at the bottom. Plunge the plunger down, and then tip it into a cup.
Because apparently I do it wrong.
Yeah, well, leave it stew for 2 minutes,
Shut
right?
that door. I just want to hear that.
Saturday night at Phil's house. It's fucking bonkers.
It is bunkers in our
It's
house
bonkers
on the
on Saturday night.
weekend.
Right, let me get this thing shared. Let's build up an audience. Let's get this one, because people are going to run away soon. I'm sure they are. Shared there.
Shut the door.
Delia, what do you want?
They're all in. They're all in. They're all in. Look at them all.
Right, here, come
What's her shoes?
here, come here. Come here.
No.
Come here.
No.
Yeah, because you know what's coming, don't you?
I can get them.
Yeah.
Emma.
Emma, come here. Emma, come on, because you want to say hello. Come on. Come on, say hello. Come on, Emu. Come on.
I want you to go out on the piss, which you're refusing to do with me.
Go on.
I've got
Shut
work
the
to
door.
do.
Yes, I'm going to get you out.
I've got
You
work.
wait and see. Your face is going to see you out.
Right, get out of here.
With you.
Right, anyway, so, here we go.
Oh my God! Can they please just go?
Last
out
night's
for 5
boxing then,
minutes?
Conor Van, last night, 6 out of 6. Conor won his fight last night, absolutely superb show. Great to see him win his fight. The geezer he fought was a monster. He was giving him a good few pounds, a lot bigger than Conor last night, and he put it all over him. He really did. He made it look convincingly easy. When actually it was probably the hardest fight he's had so far. So well done, Conor. We'll catch up with Conor next year. He's doing all sorts of training with Power Edge, and we're going to go and watch him and do a few things for next year. But Conor, awesome fight, 6-0.
Oh my God! They're back.
Yeah, I'll have 2 sugars, please. 2 sugars.
Milk?
No milk. Black. Last night's boxing. Okay, so Operation Nimrod. Let's talk about Operation Nimrod, all right? Operation Nimrod. 30th of April, okay, 1980. I was still at school. I was a young lad. In fact, how old was I? How old would I have been in 1980, Wendy? I would have been
Oh,
about...
God. 11.
I would have been 11.
You would have been 11.
I was 11 years old when this happened. It was the 30th of April, the 5th of May, 1980. The 30th of April to the 5th of May in 1980. Okay, so the 30th of April being day 1, and the 5th of May being when it all finished. Okay, and it was resolved. Obviously, people know the rough story of this, but there's a few little intricacies that people probably don't know as well. And I'm just going to try and highlight those. It's nothing that most people couldn't find if they searched in the right place for it, to be honest, but it is quite interesting. And having met, you know, more than one person, more than a few people who actually fought there and were part of it, I've got some quite interesting little tweaks on it. Okay, so let's put it that way. And if I can, eventually I'll try and get Rusty onto the show or someone like that who can actually, you know, give us an operator's view who was actually there. But that's in the future anyway. It's Christmas, so anyway. Who were they then? Right? How did this thing come about? Well, in Tehran, there was a bit of a hostage crisis going on in the embassy there, and it sparked off a bit of a sort of thing where the embassy taking thing was almost the fashionable thing to do, for want of a better word, all right? And if you could get a group of armed gunmen and you could get them into an embassy with their weapons, etc., you had yourself a bargaining tool or a chip or what you thought something you could do something with. Now, these people call themselves the DRFLA, which stands for the Democratic Republic Front for the Liberation of Arabistan. So a bit of a mouthful, but basically they were trying to liberate an area in South Iran, and they were trying to get their own way, and they thought that by doing this, I think it was partly, you know, I think the Iraqis were on their side. They were sort of like, they were stirring the pot, etc., 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 and it was all a bit of a mess. And like I say, they decided the DRFLA. I mean, what a name! Don't they come out with some long-winded names out there? They really do. So the DRFLA, as it was called, they decided to put something together and come over here. So they actually used Iraqi passports, the first 4 of them over here. So the team leader and 3 came over on Iraqi passports, and they took a flat. I think it was somewhere in there. Where was the flat? The flat was in Earl's Court. Okay, so they took a flat in Earl's Court, and they stayed there for about a week. Now, it was the landlady who got a bit fed up with their comings and goings and shunted them on. So they shunted on from the first flat, and then they took up a number of different flats, and their comings and goings kept going there. Their numbers swelled, and I think they were quite easy to track down afterwards, and obviously a few landlords, etc., came up, and they came on the radar when people knew exactly what was going on. But they were in a number of residencies, and obviously plotting and planning and scheming, and they were there for quite some time before the actual job went down. So the regiment's part in this then. How did the regiment, and this is the first time the regiment has really done anything. This has really put the regiment on the map. Okay, so the regiment up until this point, you know, they'd done things like the Malaya campaign, they'd done World War II, sorry, not World War I, they did World War II, obviously when they were formed. They'd done Malaya, they'd done Arden, they'd done all sorts of decent work. But the regiment's always been in a position, and remember the story I told you about the formation of the regiment where it almost went down to the T, well, it did go down to the TA, and then they flipped it back and managed to turn it into a regular unit again. Well, the regiment's always had this survival thing. So, after the Munich massacre, thank you very much, Craigie. After the Munich massacre, there was pressure put on all the governments in Europe to have counter-revolutionary warfare troops and to have people trained up who could deal with hostage scenarios and who could deal with this sort of threat. So it was a big thing, and it was new. And of course, the regiment being the regiment, A, have got extremely good soldiers, and B, decided, right, this is something we need to fucking take under our umbrella because it gives us longevity again. And at the time, it was quiet. You know, there wasn't a whole heap going on. There was Northern Ireland, etc., etc., etc. So they teamed themselves up with a few covert ops, and they knew that they could use the weaponry, and they had the expertise to gain entry into places, etc., etc., etc. So it naturally fell in line that the regiment became the experts in CRW. It couldn't be given to the police at the time because the police didn't have the armed units that had the capability at all in any way, shape or form to take the job on. And there wasn't really any units within the British Army that could do the job. So the SAS, being the SAS and recognising, you know, seeing it straight away, bang, that's going to give us a job for life, they took the role on. And they developed a load of stuff. And their first deployment was on the Luftwaffe 181, which was a plane which was taken in Germany in the late 70s. And they helped a team of GSG-9 plot and plan and recover that and end that siege. And so they had a little bit of experience. They'd obviously looked around at all the normal stuff, planes, trains, automobiles, buildings, anything that could be taken and used by a terrorist, anything that you could be taken hostage in. The regiment were beginning to build themselves a reputation as being the people to go to for those skill sets. And they were developing stuff like the frame charges, the window charges. You know, they were building all this stuff, they were testing all this stuff, and they really did become front runners. So when these Iranians decided to do it in the UK, why the fuck did you pick this country? Because we were the best at fucking resolving it, you plant lives. Do you know what I mean? What a place to pick it. What a place to pick it. Anyway, they did, and like I say, they came across. And the regiment, Margaret Thatcher was in the chair at the time. So no stroke of bad luck for the terrorists. Margaret Thatcher was in the chair, and she did not give one flying fuck. Any excuse to fucking batter someone, and she'd have been in there. You know, look at the Falklands. You know, 2 years later, she's sending troops down the Falklands for just sniffing at the place. Like, you know what I mean? So she was proper. She was proper into. You know, she was hardline with people. You know, she really wanted it. You know, I crush people. You know, she definitely did not want any of this nonsense going on. Do you know what I mean? She really was hardline against terrorism, etc., etc., etc. And it really was, you know, a good time for the regiment. She loved the regiment, and even, you know, even in the late days, you know, she helped set guys up that left the regiment in jobs and stuff like that. She really did. She was a real fan of the regiment. So love her or hate her, Margaret Thatcher was not the person you wanted to be in the chair if you were a fucking terrorist. So anyway, these terrorists, the four of them, the numbers soon swelled. They got themselves organised, and they believed that the numbers, the weapons that they used came in on an Iraqi diplomatic bag and went to the Iraqi embassy. So they reckon that they were sort of like in cahoots with the Iraqis. Obviously, they got the passports from the Iraqis, so it makes sense that the Iraqis brought their weapons over. They got sort of like Soviet-style submachine guns, pistols, and grenades, and they got the whole lot in a little bundle. They got themselves together, and on the final day in their accommodation in South Kensington, they told the landlord that they were disappearing down to Bristol, and they got themselves packed up in their car, told him that the rest of the kit needed to be shipped and they'd leave instruction, and they fucked off to the embassy. And there they got. And when they got to the embassy, they basically charged the place. So the first they knew about at the embassy, now what was the first thing that happened at the embassy? At 11:30 on the first day, on the 30th, okay, the car pulls up outside the embassy. They literally storm the place as quickly as they can. So they're straight in. Let me just show you a quick photograph of the embassy. They storm the place as quick as they can. So I'll get you some photos up. This picture paints a thousand words. Oh, it does play me out. Come on, what's about you? Right, so there's the embassy, for those of you who aren't, that's the front of the embassy. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's got the Ethiopian embassy next door to it. There's Rusty Furman in one of the rooms inside the embassy. So you can see the big old open rooms, and these people pulled up outside. Now, inside the embassy at the time, they took 26 hostages. 2 actually escaped through a window, and on I think the ground floor, I managed to cut across onto a balcony on the Ethiopian embassy and get away. PC Lock. Now, PC Lock, I've got a photograph of PC Lock here after the incident. There's PC Lock. He was the diplomatic protection in there at the time, and he was armed with a .38 revolver. Now, he didn't manage to pull the .38 revolver in time to do anything with it, but he did manage to hit the panic button on his radio and alert people that stuff was going on. So they knew straight away. From the minute those geezers come in, he hit the panic button on his thing, but he got overpowered fairly quickly. Now, he did pull a stroke on the terrorists, and we'll go further into it in detail later on, but he did pull a stroke. When they went to frisk him, he said, "Can you please leave me my coat? Because if I have to do anything with you, I want to uphold the image of the police force. I don't want to come across scruffy if the TV and the media start taking pictures." He said, so basically in his coat was another pistol, so he remained armed. But he was quite savvy in as far as he didn't sort of like just pull it out and start spraying straight away, because they would have done him, and they probably would have done everybody else in there as well. So we'll go into detail with PC Lock later on, but he was a very savvy bloke, even to the point that he refused food because he didn't want to go to the toilet. Obviously, if he took an escort to the toilet, they might search him, and he might discover the weapon on him then. So, in a bid to keep away from the limelight, he refused food and all that sort of stuff as well. So, a very, very brave bloke. And we will say more about him as we go as the week goes on. But yeah, PC Lock, one hell of a guy. Like I say, he said, and so who else was in the embassy at the time? Well, this is one of the days when you must think to yourself, how did I know? There were 2 BBC journalists. They were there trying to get visas to go over to Tehran and report on some stuff that had happened previously. There was a Syrian journalist, there was a banker, there was an accountant. So there was quite a few visitors to the embassy, and there was also a number of staff. Like I say, 26 in total were taken, including the people I just mentioned. So there was quite a number of people went down the range. Yeah, so I was thinking of a carpet dealer in there. So there was a carpet dealer in there. So, basically, day one, And this is where we're going to leave it today. We're going to leave it on day one because I'm going to tempt you to come back all next week. I'm going to tell this story over a period of a week, okay? But basically, we've got to the stage now where PC Lock is in there, he's armed. There's 25 other people in there under hostage. There's 6 gunmen in there, all tooled up, cutting around, doing their thing, and 2 people have escaped. So that's where we're up to now, okay? And like I say, that's where they were at on day 1 of the Iranian embassy siege. I'm going to crack on with day 2, probably tomorrow, and day 3 at the same time, and then we're going to bring the whole thing to a resolve probably on Friday, okay? But it's something to really look forward to, because as the story unfolds, I've got some more photographs from inside, I've got some more photographs of the assault going in. It is a big deal, it's a huge deal to the regiment, and it really did put us on the map in a big way. So if you've got any questions so far, please fire some questions in. I'll have a quick look at my old...
David Swift, he was 19 in Dover, stationed in Dover when it happened. Darren was 14, Sean was 48.
It's quite
no,
great.
you're 48 then, Phil, sorry Sean.
Yeah, I'm 48, buddy, yeah. It's quite insane to think where you were at the time. I can remember, I'm going to tell you, on the story of the day it unfolded, I can actually remember where I was. It's one of those events, you know, like an event in life where you can actually remember where you were when you found out. Like most people can remember where they were when they heard about the Twin Towers.
Can't.
Most people can remember where they were.
Oh no, when I was with the Twin Towers.
With
yeah.
the Twin Towers, one Diana's death.
Diana, I did.
Okay, but the Iranian embassy for me was one thing that it struck a chord with me, and I was like, wow, when I saw it, it really was. So it was one of those things, militarily, was an absolute spectacle. And like I say, it put the regiment on the map in a huge way.
I was just an 11-year-old girl.
So on the final show, I should tell you what I was doing that day at the same time as well. It was quite I remember watching it, I'll put it that way.
Right.
Have I seen the film The 6 Days? I haven't seen it yet, no. I've heard different reviews about it. Like I say, I'm going to try and get Rusty on the show to talk about the film at some stage, and I'm going to try and ask him if he'll give his rendition of what happened on the Iranian embassy siege, although I think his rendition is the film. Was there any pre-planning for the op like this, or was there the blueprint? Right, what you tend to get, Paul, is they will have a set of plans for an emergency, okay? They'll have a rough idea of how to break a building down, how to get in, etc, etc, etc. With a very short period of planning, you could put an emergency response in place. The longer the operation goes on, the more you find out about the place, the more information you get back, the more intel, the more in-depth the plan can be. And you usually find when you go on an operation like this, you'll be planning for the entirety of the operation, and things can change. You know, I know for certain when I did the plane at Stansted, you know, we were getting stuff all the time from that. We were getting information live from the plane. We were getting information from under the plane. We were getting information from the people filming the plane. We were getting so there was stuff coming in all the time which had a bearing on things. So the ops are flexible. The orders are flexible, but you will have a plan for sure, which while you're planning would be called the emergency response, and boom, if anything happens within that time, if there's any change, you know, bodies start coming out the windows, gunshots are heard, etc, 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 a regiment will be on it all like a pack of hounds, all over it like a tramp on a hamburger. All right, they really will be in there and mixing it straight away. So that's, you know, that's if you're a potential terrorist, that's worth remembering. If you so much as fart while they're planning on you, you're going to get some. All right, so that's the way it is. Okay, the movie Who Dares Wins is excellent, says Thomas Finley. Yes, the movie Who Dares Wins is an absolutely awesome film, and I think, from what I've heard, a lot of people prefer it to the subsequent films that have been made about that sort of operation. So, Alan Bell says he remembers it well. The Storming of the Seas was shown live on TV, up to interrupting the John Wayne movie. Yeah, because you used to get news flashes, didn't you? So nowadays you just go on social media and something happens and you like flip over to another channel and it gets fed in that way. So you've got a permanent news channel, Sky News, BBC World News, exactly. So you can get it almost all the time.
You did have to have news.
Yeah, but in those days you got the news flash, didn't you? And it would come in straight away, news flash, the LCD printer going, and then it would crack straight into the story. Yeah, so it was a big deal, and certainly worthy of a news flash, that's for sure. In my first year of service, the Royal Engineers, says Gary Quinn, that's where he was. Mike Baker Sr. is watching, Mike Howard is watching, Sean Gamble, Lewis Collins, rest in peace. Yeah, he was quite a man. I think he did selection for 2-1. I'm not sure how far he got with it. Alan Bell, I remember it well, yeah. Karen O'Neill, 18, and doing SIGS training in Catterick, wow. Darren Blytheways at home watching snooker with me dad. That would have taken a news flash as well, wouldn't it? Imagine if old Jimmy White's just about to pop that thing. News flash. Yeah, incredible. I was 10, says Scott Cook, a bit younger than me then.
Right.
I was in my dad bag, says yeah, just a shadow in his eye. Yeah, go on.
So, Corey Mason's watching, right, and he's at Harrogate, but his dad's
Okay.
also watching.
Oh, okay.
And he said, hang on, let me just go back.
It's going to be something like Corey was a twinkle in his eye at that stage of the campaign, surely.
No, Stuart Mason, he said even for Wednesday house games, can't wait for the boy Corey Mason coming home on Xmas leave.
Oh, good man. So, yeah, you get your Christmas leave, mate. Yeah, I bet you're looking forward to it, innit? Get home, make the most of it, mate, because you'll soon be back. Very interesting topic tonight, says Leif Stacey. That's right, they let them walk out, didn't they? If you want about the Stansted, I reckon, yeah, they did. Most gutted. Colin Brooks, Jane. Alison Jane Furman. Alison Jane Furman. How are you, Alison? You alright? Good to see you. Any more questions about where we are so far? So the rough sort of like background to it, who they were, we've covered. We've told you how the SAS got involved with CRW in the first place, which was a survival thing, really, if the truth be known. And we've told you who was taken hostage. You know, 26 people amongst, you know, quite a few journos, and a couple of BBC lads who were in there trying to get visas. A Syrian journalist. There was a carpet maker in there. You can make it up, could you? You know what I mean? Imagine going in. Oh, he must have been flogging carpets or something. So you go in there to flog a carpet, and you get involved in one of the most horrendous acts of terror ever plotted in the country. Ridiculous.
Pete O'Neill said the professionals were on the TV at the time, and I remember the news flash. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, people will remember stuff like that. Yeah. It is crazy.
It's crazy.
Did 60 SAS lads storm it, says Philip Butterworth. Philip, I'm not going to tell you yet. You're going to have to tune in next week where I'm going to tell you exactly who stormed it, from what direction, from what aspect, from where, what rope they were on, what they were using, how much kit they had, etc, etc, etc. I'm going to give you the gnat's hair on this one, all right? But I'm going to give it to you next week. You're not having it all tonight. I'm going to goad you in on this one, and I'm going to get myself some big numbers for my show next week for Christmas, all right? So I'm going to start pulling you in. We're going to have a look at the 12 days of Christmas, how Phil sees it. Later on, that starts next week as well. What else we got, Wendy? We've got some more Christmas cooking going on Tuesday. So I should be making one of my recipes. Wendy's cringing at me going, you'll be robbing one of mine. Of course I will. That's how it is. No, I'm joking. Nice video, says Sam Stones. Thank you, Mike. No, Sam. Sean Gamble's watching. Mark Barker Senior. Gary Quinn. Ian Thomas. Tom Finley. Patrick Werrity. Alan Ball. Karen, did loads of people on it tonight.
Scott Cook said, what's the last day of ordering off your Born Fearless site? Well, I think Loz is watching, so he might.
I'm not sure if Loz is watching, but I'll definitely post something. You want a Glock? You want a sock for your Glock, don't you? That's what you want. You want a sock for your Glock. I've got a sock without a Glock here. Look, there you go. That's my Christmas sock this year. You like that, don't you? You can get them on my site. A Christmas stocking.
Carl said
operator.
you've got him hooked now.
An operator's stocking. There you go.
Carl said you've got me hooked now. Good job.
Good. You should all be in there next week. And I should keep you going. I should keep this going all week. So we'll put on. I'm not even going to tell you when to do it. So you have to tune in on 2100 every night next week to see if I'm doing it or not. Because you're going to want the whole story. I'm telling you. I'm going to elaborate on the whole thing. I'm going to put it all together for you. I'm going to get some pictures. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to stick some stuff on the wall for you. We'll do it. We'll proper brief this one out, because I think, you know, I think this operation absolutely deserves my full attention to tell it to you properly and to tell you how I see it, etc, etc, etc. And like I say, hopefully we can get one of the guys who was there to come on the show.
Alison says, can you make a nut roast for us veggies, Phil? Well, do you know what? We might be able to do that, but it will be a vegan one.
Sick.
So basically it'll just be a bowl of dust with maybe a holly leaf on it or something. That's very Christmassy for a vegan, isn't it, Grace?
No.
Yes.
Don't like holly.
No? Well, she's just got to have dust then. Are you on the naughty list this year? I'm always on the naughty list.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I'm always on the naughty list, I'm afraid.
He's been a naughty, naughty boy.
Dave Bailey says, Born Fearless is the best book he's ever read. Thank you very much, Dave. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Luke Sargent, signed.
Have you got any signed copies, he said? Yes, I think you have.
Yeah. Most, mate, I think I've signed a load last time I was up there. If you order from the website, you'll get a signed copy, because I signed an absolute load last time I was up there. And if there isn't one for you signed, or you want it personalised, I can always get Loz to send it down to me, and then I'll send it out
Yeah,
myself.
Terry Regan said, have you got any tips on how to clean a stainless steel pan that I've burnt? I have, actually.
What's
this
your
works
tip?
this is really good. Right, so you get some water in it, and you put it on the stove.
She's actually, for those people that can't see Wendy, she's actually acting this one out.
Oh, yeah.
So she's actually
So you
doing
put
it.
some water in the pan.
In it, so they put the water in the pan. Go on, carry on, Wendy.
So you put some water in the
Put
pan,
some water
right?
in the pan,
And then you put it on a very low heat.
on a very low heat.
Right. And you put some washing powder in there.
What's washing powder? Is that just a pinch of washing powder, is it?
But
A
not
pinch.
like, not the liquid powder. You
Not,
actually have
not
to
the
put
liquid powder, but the pinching powder, like that. Unbelievable.
washing powder, and that really does work.
Okay, that
That
does
is the
work.
truth.
Yeah, no, that does work.
How do you know?
Do you know what I've never cleaned. No, we used to, when I used to do the cooker when I was in the army, we used to put it all into a black plastic bin liner with a thing called acetone, which you can buy from the chemist. And this acetone would burn the chrome off a Harley, mate. And you stick your frying pan in with that, and it'll just take any shit off it completely. But you may end up, if it was a non-stick pan, okay, with nothing on the pan anymore. Okay, so there you go. All right, that could be your bag. But yeah, if you're doing your cooker, that's a great way of doing it. All the stainless steel stuff in your cooker, bung it in a bag with acetone, shake the bag about, leave it for about 24 hours, and when you come back, you just wash it all off. Make sure you use gloves when you do that sort. Wash it off the top and the bottom. All right.
Your gloves on.
You coming for a drink, Wendy? Salt with water cleans pans. Leave it for a few hours, says Darren Blathway. A tin of MFP for Christmas, says Lee Sirocco Fenner. Colin Brooks, and the pan comes out lovely and soft.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
But it's got to be washing powder.
It's got to be washing powder. There you go. You see shouting the odds now. Okay, so we know what we're doing next week. I've got to drive Perry up to his camp next week, so I'm going to be going up to Cottage Mole to drop him off there. So I might even end up doing one from his camp next week if I've got time, or if I can get in there. They'll let me in. Is that operator sign language, says Jay Parkhouse? Of course it is. In the circle of trust. All right. Mess tins, water and grass every time, says Luke. So, mate, Luke, remember when you used to burn the bottom of your mess tin, and you'd find a patch in the dirt, and you just rub it on the dirt, and it just takes everything off straight away, doesn't it? So you used to burn the bottom of your pan on its thing, bottom of the pan on its thing, burn it, yeah, okay, and then you'd rub it, rub it in the grass and leaves and dirt, and it just cleans it off perfectly. And then you take a great big handful of a clod of dirt, or if you've been deturfing your thing, a clod of the deturfing, and rake it about the inside, and that cleans it off, and the water just comes out sparkling, lovely, hygienic too. Yeah.
Doby dust, yeah, Doby
dust, yeah, Doby.
Dust,
Bit of ring derby. Yeah. Luke Sargent, that's amazing. It is amazing, isn't it? It is amazing how it works, isn't it? You can amaze myself when I do that. Happy Christmas to all. I keep drinking as long as you keep going, Phil. Have a good one from me. Yeah, I'll be on. I'll probably end up doing a Christmas Day special. Actually, I know the Queen does a speech, so I don't see any reason why Big Phil can't do a speech. Wendy's shaking her head, but it's not up to Wendy. It's up to Big Phil.
Christmas Day.
I don't give a shit about Christmas Day.
Oh, well, I'll probably have a few drinks by then. Anyway.
I find if you leave the pan next to the sink, go to work, at the time you come home, it's cleaned itself, says Richard Harvey. Bless your wife. So, obviously works better than my fucker does. Look at the face on it. She's got one of those dog's bottom mouths. Like that. A dog's bottom mouth when I did that.
Stop making a cough, I'm not well.
Get yourself on to I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here, Phil. Got to be more entertaining than these. I bet it would be, mate. I bet I'm nicking a few of their viewers tonight, I know.
I normally watch I'm a Celebrity, but I've actually not tuned in this year. I've watched a couple of episodes and they are boring.
John Hogan says, hey, Big Phil Campion, do you think the whole Azzy Ahmed thing should be dealt with? I thought it'd been dealt with. She's a bullshitter. An absolute personified bullshitter. Says nothing but shit comes out of her mouth. She is absolutely just told lie after lie after lie after lie. And a few more lies. So, yeah, I think I've dealt with the Azzy Ahmed thing. It's been quite good fun. There's been some banter. She's blocked me on all means of social media. Doesn't want anything to do with me. Won't talk to me. Won't come on my show. I thought I'd give her a chance to tell me all about how she did it, how she was running around Hyde Park doing selection. She wouldn't come. So there you go. dealt with.
Lee Henson says Christmas Day with Big Phil, and you will probably get a drunk Wendy.
You definitely get, well, you really get drunk, Big Phil. You might get drunk, Big Phil. Depends what time of day it is. What's going on with the EU Army and the British Army, says Drew Cunningham. Another story, that one. We will touch on that one, but you can tell me... right, if there was going to be any such thing, if it was going to kick off like that, I think the best that the UK could ever do would just be to second people to that army. We don't want to be integrating ourselves in no fucking EU fucking major fucking war-dodging machine. Do you know what I mean? Not our style, do you know what I mean? We want our own army. And if you need us to join in with NATO or fucking whoever else, the UN or whatever, then we'll deploy and we'll give you, we'll give you what we need to give you. But we don't need to be sort of like, well, what, do you want us to wear the same cap badge? Do you want us all to wear the same clothes? Fuck off. Well, you're just watering down our identities again, are you? No, thank you very much. I don't need none of that. Don't need that at all. So, we're not having any of that. So, yeah, that's me. That's my thoughts on an EU army. Absolute load of shit. You wouldn't even get a proper breakfast. We're trying to make, all right, you all go have a continental breakfast. That'd be the next thing, wouldn't it? Everybody in the army has to have a continental breakfast. Well, I can't fucking march around on a fucking croissant and an orange juice, I'll tell you that. I need me fucking bacon and beans in the morning is what I fucking need, so you can poke your continental fucking breakfast, your fucking EU army, and all the rest of your fucking cheese, fucking garlic munching shite, well up your well-fucked asses. There you go, that's my rant for the day.
Yeah. I'm glad Delia had gone out. Stop it.
Too right, I'll watch Christmas Day. So that's a no to the EU Army then. You read that one right, didn't you?
Yes,
Mike Laidler, British Army every day. Too right. The EU has already planned it, and our spineless politicians are letting that happen, Phil. Rod, I think the best they'll get is some sort of like cooperation whereby people... But mate, this is why we need to be kicking against these cunts. This is why we need to be turning heads. This is why we need to be getting a government in place that can actually got a spine and will stand up to these people. And ultimately, they've shown their colours in our own war on terror at the moment. They will not let the provisions be put in place for us to deal with this sort of stuff. And the whole thing's going far too identity-thieving bunch of fucks is what they are. And I'm getting fed up with it, to be honest. So we'll... Hello. Come say hello to the people, dear. Come on, say hello. Say hello.
Hello.
It's Delia.
This is Delia. What would you like to say to everybody, Delia? What would you like to say? You can talk about anything you like.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? How about, should we talk about weapons? Would you like to see a gun?
No.
No? Okay, no guns. A
You
doll?
want to talk about Christmas, don't you?
You want to talk about Christmas?
You've been a good girl?
And how he comes down the
You've
chimney?
been a good girl?
Yeah.
The Father Christmas doesn't come down the chimney anymore, does he? He has a key, he lets himself in, doesn't he?
He comes down the chimney.
Does he? You ain't got a chimney in your house.
I know that.
So what do you do in your house then?
He only comes through our door because we haven't got a chimney.
Yeah,
So he's got a
a
special
key,
key,
doesn't he?
isn't he?
He has a special key, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's done the lock-picking course at Hereford. That's what he's done. He's done the lock-picking course at Hereford, Santa. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say to the nice people? No? Happy Christmas? Anything like that? No? You don't want to wish them a happy Christmas? You want
Say
to
happy
You hope they
Christmas.
all have a rotten Christmas? Is that what you're saying, is it?
No.
Is it? No? Then you want to say Merry Christmas to them?
Alright.
Go on then.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss. Love you. Right. There you go.
Good girl, yeah.
That's Delia.
No.
So, now she's watching herself back. That's you. Yeah, there you go. I've not been watching for a while. Look like you've lost a bit of weight. Has Wendy got me on a vegan diet? I've not lost a lot of weight. You've obviously cracked your screen or something, all right? And as for a vegan diet, I don't eat the food my food shits on, all right? So that would never happen in a million years, all right? I ain't never going to happen. He does come down the chimney, says Rod Leonard, and I always have a glass of port with him. There you go. So Rod's got a chimney. He comes down Rod's chimney, all right? That's what he does over there. And he has a glass of port with him. Did you leave him? You didn't leave him a carrot out. Did you leave him a carrot out? Did you? Or was that for his reindeer?
That was for the reindeer.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
How many did you leave?
About 6.
About 6. Did you? Nice. Did you leave any a quick tipple for?
Huh?
A little quick tipple for Santa? Did you leave him a little whiskey or something?
Some milk.
Milk.
Get him some milk.
Mince pies.
Yeah.
And some mince pies.
Mm.
There you go. So maybe Santa's a vegan and all.
Santa can't have a drink, can he, when he's driving that sleigh?
He can't, can he? There you go. Right. She's really bonny. Must look like her mama, Phil's. Phil's face like a bag of spanners. Says Kev Ward. She definitely looks like her mum. Nothing to do with me. Merry Christmas, Delia, says Lee Henderson. Sam Mitchell, depends on what type of rat pack because it's freeze-dried. I'm hacking into a conversation there which has got nothing to do with me, I don't think. Merry Christmas from Annapolis, Minnesota. From Minnesota, they're saying hello to you from Minnesota in America. In America, talking to you. Unbelievable. Did you hear about the Paras and the Gurkhas having a mess brawl during the training exercise, Anna Crane? I did, and if you saw me tweet, what a laugh that looks. I'm going to tell you a story one day, because actually it's not the first time the Gurkhas have been somewhere like that and got themselves in a bit of a fight. They had a pop at D Squadron in Belize. I'm not sure how much of it I can tell, but I will find out what I can say about it, and I'll say a little bit about it. But yeah, it's not the first time the Gurkhas have had a pop, and to be honest, they're great sports, so they'd have loved to tear up. And I'm sure, you know, as I've always said, you know, most paratroopers will fight themselves if there's no one else to fight. So yeah, I can imagine that one being a good old tear up. I'd have loved to have been there. It would have been an absolute cracking one. Hi Phil, my mum will be doing the mince pies the next few days. Inbox me where I need them to.
Need to send them to.
Oh, thank you very much. James Knight. Evening Phil. Beautiful granddaughter Delia. And a very proud granddad. Of course I'm proud. I love her to death, don't I? Sometimes. When you're not breaking stuff.
You don't break stuff, do you?
Doesn't break. So just drop half an hour on the floor.
Aren't you? Give me a kiss.
Yeah, right. Okay, so next week's taken care of. We're going to carry on with the story of Princess Gate, Operation Nimrod. We'll get all into that next week. And like I say, we'll pick it apart properly. We're going to cook some more stuff. Delia's going to come and say goodbye. You come and say goodbye? Come on, come and say goodbye.
To get on now.
She's an absolute media queen now, aren't you? Say bye to the people, and then what you've got to say is you've got to say who dares wins at the very end, all right? So that's going to be the very last thing we do. When I say 1, 2, 3, you say who dares wins, yeah? Can you do that? 1, 2, 3.
Who dares wins.
There you go.